seated for a few moments of reflection. One thing that is encouraged to us by the Lord in the readings today is that the fact that regardless probably among Christian circles, okay, may I underline that, among Christian circles, regardless what our eschatology, and that is the end times theology of the particular Christian circle is involved in, whether they believe in rapture, they believe in post-tribulation, mid-tribulation. There are many, when it comes to the coming of the Lord, there are many versions, there are many teachings that are going out from Christian circles. And regardless of whatever their Christian leanings are with regards to eschatology, one thing that is very much spoken here in the Word of God is the fact that every believer must always desire to look for the coming of the Lord. Whether it is the actual second coming, whether it may be a visitation, whatever that is, the attitude of every believer should be always looking forward for the coming. This is very prominent in both the manifestation of the Godhead, three persons. In the Old Testament, we can see there that the Old Testament people were always looking forward for a visitation from God. Even from way back from Genesis all the way, you can see how they were looking forward for prophets to come and speak to them. And of course, they were always looking forward for the coming of the Messiah. They knew the Messiah was coming. And also, with regard to the Holy Spirit, Jesus instructed them to tarry and wait for the coming of the Holy Spirit. So, there is a very important attitude that every believer must always have, and that is in expectation for the coming of the Lord. Now, it doesn't matter to me, it doesn't matter anymore what eschatology, theology they have. But the fact that you are always looking forward for the coming, for His visitation. Because He is definitely coming. You look at the things that they were saying, what's the sign of your coming? I mean, you look, all of these things described here. Everything is happening. Family, nation against nation, and lawlessness. Just look around. Lawlessness is there. False prophets, mga nagsasabing, ako si Jesus. There are many things that are happening, are very much indication that these are birth pangs. We are in that segment. But it doesn't matter how God is going to do it. It's the important thing for believers to have is the attitude of expectation that He is coming. He is definitely coming. Whether He comes to us in actual visitation through the Eucharist, well, He actually does. Diba? Christ is coming. We know in the Eucharist. Whether it comes to just a person who your brother or sister has a word from the Lord, or even God will send angels to you, unknown persons, just to speak to you. There's so many ways, but the important thing is that we always cultivate an attitude of expectation, looking forward for the coming of the Lord. Yes, in essence, He is really with us because He is always with. He's everywhere. But He comes in manifestations in many ways. And if we are always in expectation, He will reveal Himself. That's the good news there. But when we are always in that attitude of expectation and looking after His coming, He will never be disappointed. We will never be disappointed. Because somehow, He will reveal Himself. He will make known Himself. He will even, probably by God's grace, He make an apparition to us. Who knows? But the fact that is that kailangan parating nandun yung expectation on a daily basis that we always expect for the coming of the Lord. Naalala ko nung time nung kainitan nung 1988, the second coming, the rapture. We are always in expectation. I think what was a good lesson there is the fact that we are always expecting for His coming. Talaga, where there's preparation as far as tama na ba buhay ko, baka hindi ako makasama sa rapture, di ba? Baka hindi ako makasakay pag lumipat na lahat. And I'm not putting down those theories. That's up to the Lord kung anong gusto niyang mangyari. Nobody really knows. But the thing is that what we must have as believers is always the expectation of His coming. Always waiting, tarrying, knowing that He will come. I know it's not yet Advent, pero yun ang isang malaking teaching ng Advent. Yung hinihintay natin na dumating siya. Diba? Pag may gusto kang panauhin na may bisita kang gustong dumating, diba? Parang hindi ka mapakali. Pero alam mo, kailangan tama na ba yung bahay, yung pagkain na hinanda ko. There are many things that, and I think that's the attitude that we should have, knowing that we're ever preparing for the coming of the Lord. And it doesn't matter, again, going back to my original, kung ano man ang theology nila sa second coming, hindi na yun yung issue dun eh. I think the issue here is really our heart. Our attitude of saying, yes, Lord, I am prepared. It may be the time when we meet the Lord on the other side. Baka yung second coming. Who knows? We don't know it. Basta, we are told to always be tarrying and preparing ourselves. And in expectation that He knows we will have a visitation from God Himself. We stand.